Assalamu alaikum friends. I hope so that you all will be fine. Friends, in this video I am going to discuss about the regulation of glycogen metabolism. Okay, so let's start our lecture. In the regulation of glycogen metabolism, here two enzymes, two hormones and two states, they are very important. Okay, two enzymes, two hormones and two states, they are very important. The two enzymes are, the first one is glycogen synthase enzyme, which is a very important enzyme in the synthesis of the glycogen, and another one is glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. Okay. And two hormones are, the first one is insulin and another one is glucagon. Insulin, it is secreted from the beta cell of the islets of Langerhans, while glucagon, it was released from alpha cells of the islets of Langerhans. Okay, and two states are, first one is phosphorylated state and another one is dephosphorylated state. Okay, so in regulation of glycogen metabolism, two enzymes, two hormones, and two states are very important. The two enzymes are glycogen synthase and another one is glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. The two hormones are insulin and glucagon, and two states are phosphorylated state and dephosphorylated state. So now coming toward that how glucagon activates glycogen phosphorylase enzyme and how insulin activates the glycogen synthase enzyme. Okay, so this glucagon, which is secreted from the alpha cells of the islets of Langerhans, this glucagon basically, this is responsible for the increase in the production of cyclic AMP. Okay, this is responsible for the increase in production of cyclic AMP that activates that activates protein kinases, that activates protein kinases and protein kinases activates phosphorylase kinase enzyme. Phosphorylase kinase enzyme. And phosphorylase kinase enzyme, it activates glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. And it is responsible for the breakdown of glycogen into glucose. And this enzyme, it activates in phosphorylated state. In this way, glucagon hormone activates the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. Glucagon, it increases the production of cyclic AMP that activates protein kinases. Protein kinase activates phosphorylase kinase enzyme, and phosphorylase kinase enzyme activates the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme, and in this way glycogen phosphorylase enzyme is responsible for the breakdown of glycogen to glucose, and this enzyme activates in phosphorylated state. This protein kinase enzyme, it is also responsible for the phosphorylation of glycogen synthase enzyme, and in this way the glycogen synthase enzyme gets inhibited and there is no synthesis of glycogen from glucose. There is no synthesis of the glycogen from the glucose because of the phosphorylation of glycogen synthase enzyme. Okay, so in this way, the glucagon activates the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme and responsible for the glycogenolysis process, and also responsible for the phosphorylation of glycogen synthase enzyme, and inactive the glycogen synthase enzyme and inhibits the glycogenesis process. Now coming toward how insulin activates the glycogen synthase enzyme. Basically, basically this insulin this insulin, it is responsible for the decrease in production of cyclic AMP. Okay, and it inactivates the protein kinases, and protein kinases inactivate phosphorylase kinase and also inactivate the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. Okay, and also it inactivate this the phosphorylated condition of glycogen phosphorylase enzyme, and also this inhibits the process of glycogenolysis. Okay, I'm repeating again. Insulin, it is responsible for the decrease in production of cyclic AMP that inhibits protein kinase enzyme. Protein kinase enzyme inhibits phosphorylase kinase enzyme that inhibits the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme and responsible for the inhibition of glycogenolysis. Okay, and protein kinase enzyme here, it is responsible for the dephosphorylation of the glycogen synthase enzyme, and in this way it is responsible for the activation of the glycogenesis process and also activation of the glycogen synthase enzyme. It is responsible for the activation of the glycogenesis process, the synthesis of the glycogen from the glucose. So in this way, insulin activates glycogen synthase enzyme and which is responsible for glycogenesis process. This insulin is responsible for the decrease in production of cyclic AMP that inhibits protein kinase enzyme, and it inhibits phosphorylase kinase enzyme that inhibits the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. And protein kinase enzyme responsible for the dephosphorylation of the glycogen synthase enzyme, and also it activates glycogenesis process. Okay, so that's how insulin and glucagon, they are responsible for the regulation of the glycogen metabolism. This was the first way, regulation of glycogen metabolism. Now coming toward the second way of the regulation of glycogen metabolism. Okay, this is our first way, and coming toward the second way of regulation of glycogen metabolism. Allosterically, there is allosterically regulation of the glycogen metabolism. Glucose 6 phosphate, it activates the glycogen synthase enzyme and favors the glycogenesis process, while glucose 6 phosphate, glucose and ATP, they inhibit the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme and inactivates the glycogenolysis process. There is allosterically regulation of glycogen metabolism. This glucose 6 phosphate activates glycogen synthase enzyme, and glucose 6 phosphate, glucose and ATP, they inhibit the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. So this is the second way of the regulation of glycogen metabolism. Now coming toward the third way, with the help of calcium ions. This calcium, this calcium ion, it activates phosphorylase kinase enzyme, and in this way, which activates glycogenolysis process. So calcium ion, it favors the process of glycogenolysis process. These are the three ways of the regulation of glycogen metabolism. Okay. Now coming toward some disorder of the glycogen metabolism. Disorder. Disorder of glycogen metabolism. Disorder. The first one is von Gus disease. This von Gus disease, it is due to deficiency of glucose 6 phosphatase enzyme. It is due to deficiency of glucose 6 phosphatase enzyme. This is the first disorder, von Gus disease. The second one is Pompe's disease. The Pompe's disease, it is due to deficiency of lysosomal acid maltase enzyme. Okay. Now coming to the third disorder, and that is Cori's disease. Cori's disease, and another name of Cori's disease is limit dextrinosis, and another name is for Best disease. Okay. Cori's disease, another name is limit dextrinosis, and another name is for Best disease. It is due to the deficiency of debranching enzyme. Okay. The fourth one is Anderson disease. The Anderson's disease, it is due to deficiency of branching enzyme. Okay. And the fifth one is McArdle's disease. It is due to the deficiency of muscle glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. Okay. And the last one is Hirsch disease. It is due to the deficiency of liver glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. So these are disorders of glycogen metabolism. The first one is von Gog's disease. It is due to deficiency of glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme. The second one is Pompe's disease. It is due to deficiency of the lysosomal acid maltase enzyme. The third one is Cori's disease. Another name is limidextrinosis and another name is Forbes disease. It is due to deficiency of deep branching enzyme. Another one is Anderson's disease. It is due to deficiency of branching enzyme. And McArdle's disease. It is due to deficiency of muscle glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. And Horse disease. It is due to deficiency of liver glycogen phosphorylase enzymes. And these are the disorder of the glycogen metabolism. Okay, friends, keep watching and thank you.